Meenakshi ma'am has just said that my training is in psychology. So whenever I talk about personality development, it is never about the external facade for me, right? You can always learn to wear good clothes. You can always brush up your language. And with little practice, we can work upon our body language as well. But from a psychological perspective, a change in personality will happen when there is a change happen from within, when we learn to fight our own demons, when we learn to overcome our own shortcomings, our fears, our self-limiting beliefs, isn't it? So once I know it is a world of packaging and everything that is happening outside matters a lot. But for a permanent and a persistent change to happen, I think the best way to develop ourselves is to look within and to figure out what is stopping us from becoming our better selves or our best versions, as we are hearing this phrase these days. So I shall be addressing personality development from the perspective of the changes that we need to bring in from within, addressing our self-limiting beliefs, addressing what is hampering us from taking that initiative which we know that we need to take, right? What is not letting us put our hands and procrastinate that project that is long overdue, and we know we need to do that. So that's what I thought. So I'm talking about personality development from the perspective of, being your own CEO. When I say CEO, the chief executive officer, he's in charge of an organization, right? So when you become in charge of this organization called your mind, your body, uh, it reflects in everything that you do in the outside world, right? So, developing personality for enhancing performance. So, just think about people whom you look up to, people whom you call your heroes, people who are very successful, people who are very motivated. Just think about those few people, and please let's ensure that we make this session an interactive one, right? I don't want it to be one way street, that I am just kind of uh, speaking and you're passively receiving the information. Let's make it interactive. So can you just name a few highly motivated and highly successful people, please? Yes, a few people, please switch on your cameras. You got to show some commitment to this, right? This is serious work. Thank you, Mamta ma'am.
Then
Yes.
Ratan Tata.
Ratan Tata, yes, Ratan Tata, very huge, illustrious man in the industry. Yes, thank you, Dr. Shilpi. Please, few more people, switch on your cameras. Thank you, Lajvanti ma'am. Yes, can you name a few people? Thank you, Manju ma'am, who are successful and whom we look up to? Ratan
Abdul
Tata.
Kalam.
Dr. Abdul Kalam, he's my idol too. And what are the signs of people who are motivated? And what do you think are the factors that differentiate, motivated people from successful people? Yes, Natasha ma'am, MS Dhoni, very successful, highly motivated person. Yes, what are the factors, or what are the symptoms or signs of a motivated person? Dr. Garima, thank you for switching on your camera. Positive thinking. Yes, they think positively. They always see the silver lining, and they always know how to think about what is rather than what is not. Isn't it? Amitabh Bachchan, yes, very resilient man. Every now and then you will see him going to the hospitals, and then he's back dancing his heart out on one of those celebrity shows. Isn't it so resilient? ऐसे नहीं, he's called as the Mahanayak. They have leadership skills, yes. They are lifelong learners, absolutely. That's my namesake, Shilpa, who believes in lifelong learning. That makes two of us, Dr. Shilpa. Lajvanti ma'am says positive mindset towards their own goals. Okay, brilliant. So, theoretically, we all know it. They keep improving themselves. So important. And the fact that you all are here on this call means you have a similar mindset. You do want to learn and you do want to work upon yourselves. Dr. Garima says they are path breakers as well as makers. Wow. Right? So they keep challenging the status quo and they keep building up new ways of doing things. They're very innovative, they are optimistic, and they are great learners. Fantastic. So there is a difference. It's never the genetics that define people, right? It's the epigenetics, how you behave in a situation. When COVID started, so we were talking more about two concepts: IQ. I'm sure everybody has heard of it, intelligence quotient, and followed by EQ. That is emotional quotient. We all knew it. In COVID, two new concepts were what the organization started looking for. Since we are looking at PD from the perspective of recruitment also. One is LQ, learnability quotient, how quick people are to grasp new concepts and adjust to the changing situations of the world, because COVID turned the world upside down. A person like me who had a very bad relationship with technology became a friend to technology, because survival hi nahi tha na. We could not have survived as teachers and trainers without knowing how to use different platforms. So learnability quotient, right? Flexibility to adjust to the new situations and grasp novelty. And the fourth concept that came into existence was adversity quotient, how good you are to deal with sudden challenges, sudden crises that come into your lives. So trust me, organizations are not recruiting for skills anymore. They are recruiting for attitude now, because they feel that if the attitude is right, if the person has a correct mindset, a learner's mindset, as most of you have put in, they can be taught any skills. All they need is a bit of training. The organization can actually invest some money on these people. But the most difficult change is the change in the attitude and the change in the mindset, right? So please, now that we understand personal growth so well, start working on developing a mindset of your students where they look at all these factors which you have just shared with me, are the hallmark of people who are successful and the hallmark of people who are motivated, right? Theoretically we all know it, only issue is practical application. That is something that kind of holds us back. So today's class is more going to be about application of what we already know, right? So now what happens is that each one of us has a call on our lives. We are here for a purpose. Trust me, there are no coincidences in the universe, right? There is a reason why we are here, and we all have that instinct of excellence. We are a part of that big divine flame. So we carry everything that it takes to be productive, to be successful, to be positive. It's just that we kind of sometimes lose base with our own selves. No one in this room needs to remain a mediocre. Limitation is a mentality when practiced every day becomes reality. It is a practice. We get good at what we practice. So we have just started practicing very limited kind of a tendency or a capacity, because that's very comfortable. It's so easy. Once you're in a job for 10 years, it's so easy to carry on your job in the same manner, right? There is nobody is going to ask you why are you doing it the way you're doing it. It is something that is intrinsic, that you really need to work on yourself and change things and improve things. So see, please look at this. It's a very interesting cycle. So what happens is that most of you come from science, so we all probably understand the normal probability curve, which says that 70% of people are average, right? So the way we are raised, the way we are socialized, most of us, we develop a mindset or a belief that we are average. The normally what we get to hear from our parents, from our teachers, because I think all of us, we agree, we are also adults, and I think most of us would be parents also, that there is hardly any appreciation for good that is done, but we are very benevolent when it comes to criticizing people for what they do not have, isn't it? So I always ask this question, or give this gentle reminder to my audience, that all of us, when it comes to our spouses, when it comes to our children, when it comes to our subordinates, we all know what is not right. But do we really know what is right with them? You all talked about positive attitude, right? So the first step towards positive attitude is that tendency within us to see what is right, isn't it? But I call it a generational trauma. So much of criticism, so much of chick chick and jig jig has been passed on to us in our growing up years, and that is how we have learned to parent our children. That is how we have learned to boss our subordinates, right? And also, unfortunately, we give so much of negative feedback to people, and criticism comes so handy to us that they poor things, they develop this thought or belief about themselves, that there's something terribly wrong with them, and I'm just average, and I'm just a mediocre. Correct. And because of that, laziness and complacence set in, isn't it? Once there is laziness, complacence, when we're comfortably sitting in our comfort zone, the desire to achieve decreases. हो तो रहा है, I mean, चल तो रहा है, salary तो आ ही रही है ना, classes तो हो ही रही है ना, that kind of an attitude. So when the desire decreases, then whenever things don't happen the way we wanted, what do? We start looking for external situations whom we can hold responsible for our setbacks, or mediocre achievements, or complacence, right? And our subconscious accepts mediocrity. We assume first it was a belief, and then we finally assume that this is how life is, and this becomes a vicious cycle. It starts with the hand me down information and a belief, and it gets completed when our subconscious makes peace with that this is how life is, right? Now, if there is a vicious cycle, don't you think there can be a virtuous cycle too? Isn't it? So that starts with how and what we communicate to ourselves and to people around us. Isn't it? It is so important, ladies and gentlemen, to start our day with some positive affirmations, telling our own selves how good we are, how acceptable we are, how lovable we are, and how complete we are. Right? Because our mind, it operates on a very simple principle. Those of you who come from computer, you know it. It's called GIGO: garbage in, garbage out. Isn't it? So please become mindful of your words, how you treat yourself, how you communicate with yourself, how you communicate with others. Your children, your students, they thrive on your feedback. So be extremely mindful, because your words are your world. Right? Universe responds to every word that we say in one word. For those of you who understand Hindi, it is tathastu. For those of you who do not understand Hindi, it is so be it. The day you would realize how powerful your words are, how powerful your thoughts are, and how powerful your actions are, you will stop taking yourself non-seriously. You will stop calling yourself mediocre, average, loner, introvert, and how we call people as lazy, nikatu, disinterested, casual, all that stuff. Your words are very powerful. So one major lesson that all the people on this call are taking home today is being very conscious, aware, and mindful of the words that you're using, because every word that you say is like a prayer sent out, radiated out to the universe, and every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? The intent with which you say your words, with the same intent, universe returns, gives back to you. And then we say, oh, my worst fears have come true. They had to. So if your worst fears can come true, your greatest joys can also come true. It's just we are scared of, thinking positive and thinking joyful, because we have been raised with that fear psychosis. Zyada mat haso, nahi to rona padega. If you laugh a lot, you'll have to cry. Why? What is this mindset? Isn't it? We have to break through these glass doors and windows which are stopping us from living a joyful, accomplished, a fulfilled kind of a life. And our personality is more driven by fear and apprehensions and anxieties rather than the expectation of something great and good and joyful that is yet to come. Right? You can create your own futures. There's a one very powerful line which I live by now, which says, your personality is your personal reality. I really want all of you to write this down in your notepads. Your personality is your personal reality. That is why we are talking about personality development today. If we throw black ball, in return we get black. Yes, if you throw white ball, we receive white. Absolutely. So universe is just an echo. Thank you. I'm so glad everybody is responding in the chat box. Appraise themselves and also others. Yes, we must appraise ourselves and others. But then again, it is so important that we, give a feedback to ourselves and not criticize ourselves, right? So as I said, there is this cycle of underachievement, or there's this vicious cycle of underachievement. Please, when you change your beliefs, right, to, instead of saying I'm average, to I'm a genius, or I'm enough, I'm unstoppable, right, I'm joyful. Up socho, so many of us, we say I am sad, I am depressed. How many times have you said to yourself I'm joy? Hardly ever. So first of all, we create identities out of our negative emotions, and then we think, oh, why all this is happening to me in my life? Your personality is your personal reality. You cannot change anything outside you, but one entity that you can totally, completely transform is you, right? And it starts with three simple ingredients: thoughts, emotions, and actions. It boils down to that. How you think, how you feel, and what you do. And to that, I would add one very simple, tangible thing: what you speak, how you communicate with your own self, what kind of strokes that you give to your own self. We are very, very critical with ourselves, let me tell you. Sometimes, when there is a problem or we have done something not up to the mark, you got to ask yourself this question, how will or what will I tell to a dear friend who is going through a same situation as I am? And what is it that I am, or how is it that I'm communicating with my own self? We don't forgive ourselves so easily. We are not that, uh, you know, kind to ourselves and to people around us. So important, right? So the moment you change the way you talk to yourself and to people around you, the universe, standard answer, tathastu, so be it, starts transforming how you feel about yourself, how you feel about people around you, what you see in them, and how they are proving you right. Right? They always say that talk to your children, talk to your students as if they are the kindest and the wisest people around, and trust me, they will prove you right. Isn't it? When you tell them useless, no good, they prove you right. They will also prove you right if you change the taxonomy you attach with them. Right? Now let's understand, why do we have this mindset of average and middlers, right? The first important thing here is your current environment, right? Our current environment is not just the physical environment that we live in. It is everything: people uh, to talk to, books that you read, podcasts that you listen to, the content that you are consuming online, offline, the food that you're eating. Everything makes our current environment, right? So the more you mix up with lazy, unmotivated people who do not have goals or purposes in their lives, the more you become like them, because we have mirror cells in the brain. right? Let's suppose, you're wanting to lose weight and you have 4 or 5 friends who are all foodies and who knows all the best joints in your city. You do whatever you want to do, you will never be able to lose weight. Why? Because we are a sum total of 5 most significant people in our lives. Every Friday, Saturday, you are out free, having good time with your friends, and Monday to Friday you are you are in the gym on the treadmill. So it is not going to work out that way. However, if you have a kind of a little community where everybody is motivated to lose weight, where everybody is committed to some kind of physical activity, right? Immediately the returns will start. In fact, you'll become so mindful of what you're eating when you see everybody being mindful of what they are eating, how they are spending their days, etc. Right? So please create a wonderful circle of people who vibrate on the same frequency as you do. Automatically the change will start happening, isn't it? You have intellectual quest. Mingle more with people who talk ideas rather than people who discuss people. They will become food for your thought, isn't it? Look at this beautiful one liner: to be the Mount Everest you need to be in the Himalayas. Why do you think we have this craving of our children going to the premier institutes in the country, IITs and IIM? Because the best brains come there. It may not be so much about the institute, but it is more about people there. The kind of peer group that they would have, the cohort that they would have, right? It is so stimulating, isn't it? So why only have aspirations for our children? We are not old yet, isn't it? We are not done yet. 40 is the new 30, 50 is the new 40, 60 is the new 50. Age is just a number. You can change the day you decide enough is enough. There is a new me that I'm searching for, right? So when you change your environment, even if you don't want to, there will be changes within you. So a little homework for all of you today. You got to audit your environment today. When I say environment, who are the people you are spending maximum time with? Are you reading any books these days? What is the social media content that you are totally kind of more familiar with, or you kind of listen more to? Right? Start bringing in conscious, mindful changes in that. And after 15 days or 3 weeks, my number, I can share my number. It would be lovely if you drop in a message that this is the change that we have started seeing in ourselves. Right? So first tip of the day, other than the second tip, or the first was mind your language. Second is be very mindful of, or choose your environment in a mindful manner. Create distance from the kind of people and environment that you don't want to be like, isn't it? Because our environment is like a black hole. It pulls us into itself, the kind it is. So please choose an environment which is pulling you into something productive and constructive. Okay. The second easiest way to escape responsibility and to maintain status quo is keep blaming people outside you. My husband is like that. My family is like that. My wife is like that. Children don't listen to me. Students these days, they have no respect for the teacher. Everything is outside us. Brilliant. So where is the remote control? Who presses the buttons for you? Your spouses, your bosses, your students, your children, your subordinates, your colleagues, so on and so forth. Really? Are you an electrical gadget where people just have to press buttons and you keep changing channels within? No, we are not. We are human beings, right? So we are instead of justifying, looking for explanations and reasons for your current behavior outside you, if you take charge and onus of your life and say enough is enough, today is the day when I'm going to bring about some drastic change. Let's not start with a drastic change, but I am going to bring in some change within myself, is the day when the change starts initiated, or the change is initiated. Right? If you really want to change your personality, if you want to change your personal reality, please take onus of your life. You are the driver. You need to be the driver of your seat. Please stop driving or stop sitting on the co-driver's seat. Become in charge of your life. Steer your life in the direction that you desire, you want. And as I said, external circumstances will not change, but your choices can change any moment. And the basic difference between change and transformation is this only, that change is something that happens naturally, right? It can happen without our even conscious involvement in that. But transformation is something which is a conscious process, right? And the beauty of transformation is it is metamorphosis. Like once a cocoon or a caterpillar has become a butterfly, it cannot go back to become the caterpillar again. The wings, the beauty, the capacity, the potential has stretched so much now that you will never go back to become the older version of you, right? So third important thing today, other than changing your language and working on your environment, is taking onus and responsibility of your life. And trust me, you will surprise yourself. My husband went to Bombay about 6 months ago, and I was really jittery. How am I going to manage everything? Our son is in class 10th. I have an aging mother-in-law, and my work, and home, everything. But I'm kind of quite surprised. It's pretty manageable, isn't it? So all the limitations are here in the 6 inches space between our ears. The moment we start working upon, as I said now, what we tell ourselves day in and day out, is it I am or I am not, is it I can or I cannot, is the game changer, right? So early morning, while you're sipping your tea, find some time, 10-15 minutes to yourself, when you're really giving yourself a lovely pep talk, when you're communicating with the most important person in your life, who is going to remain with you throughout your life. And tell that person how beautiful that person is, how dependable that person is, how flexible that person is, and how complete that person is. Right? So let's stop this blame game, take onus and responsibility of our lives, and steer it the way we want it, design it the way we want it. The third is creating a destructive story about ourselves. It's the same thing, that what is it that I tell to myself about myself, right? Please understand this. The story that I have created about myself is not my own story. It's the story that has been handed down to me by people who are senior to me, could be my parents, could be my teachers, could be my bosses, right? And they make me think, or I have kind of accepted to have believed the way about myself, the way they believe about me, right? So since people were telling me you're useless, you are lazy, you are no good, you can't do even a single thing right, that has become my inner voice now. That has become my story now. So there is a crow on the shoulder who is constantly pecking me and telling me, you can't do this. You may have doubts in this. You are not good enough for this. Right? Now, this crow or this inner critic, it solves a purpose. You know what purpose it solves? It protects me. How does it protect me? It does not let me take any chance. It does not let me do anything new, different, or difficult, because it tells me beforehand only, don't try, you're going to fail. It is difficult, right? And when I'm not trying anything, I'm sitting very cozy in my comfort zone. Fantastic. There's a lot of comfort in the comfort zone, but let me tell you, there is no growth there. After 9 months, the womb can't carry a baby because it has to grow. So when it has to grow, it has to come out of that comfort zone, isn't it? So now it's time, my dear friends, that we learn to, have a conversation with this crow on our shoulders and tell it, I know you have been trying to help me for so many years, right? But I don't need it anymore. Thank you. It's time for you to go look for another abode, for another place to settle down, because I am going to have a new conversation with myself, a fresh conversation with myself, and I'm going to change that vicious cycle into a virtuous cycle. right? So the voice is very soothing, as I said, because it tells you it's okay, be here, don't try anything new, don't take any chances. But it is self-sabotaging as well, because when you look back, you feel that 10 years ago I was here, and 10 years down the line, I'm still there. But the next 10 years, my dear friends, are not going to be like this, right? You are going to take on your own life in your own hands, right? And tell this limiting capacity of yours that thank you so much for your support and guidance so far, right? I'm choosing to be somebody else, and probably you're not the right guiding voice for me. Okay, and the best way to do it, stay in touch with people who inspire you, read about those people, whoever your heroes are, read their stories. I'll share one with you. How many of you have heard of this name, Arunima Singh? Does it ring a bell?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Any Lajvanti ma'am, would you like to tell us about a little about her, whatever comes to your mind? Okay, let me take the lead. So she was an athlete who was traveling through a train one of the days, and some rowdy men, they abused her, and then ultimately they threw her out of the train. And a national level athlete, she lost her legs in that accident, and she was lying on the railway tracks for hours. When after that, when she was rescued, and both her legs were to be amputated after that, and it would have taken her years, uh, when doctors said that that's the end of your career, and that's the end of your walking life, right? You may not be able to walk after this. But while she was lying on that hospital bed, look at the grit of this woman. She decided that she's going to climb the Mount Everest, and she took 2 to 3 years, whatever time it would have taken for her to stand on her legs. And once she was able to walk, she went to Bachendri Paul, if you remember this name, the first Indian lady to have you know gone on the summit. She says, ma'am, I want to climb up the Mount Everest. She said, you already have. The look at the tenacity, the perseverance, the resilience of this woman. She says, if you've thought it in your head, you're done with that. And let me tell you, it's a reality. Every event, it happens twice. Any idea that you see as a tangible result, it's an idea which happened here, right? And we are so scared of thinking big things, because we are scared, oh, if we think about it, then we have to. So best is, let's be comfortable, and let's just keep doing what is comfortable and what is comforting and what is easy and all that. Right. So we don't have to reach the climb up the summit with amputated or with prosthetic legs. Right. We just have some other goals to accomplish, but we ought to have goals. Right. We ought to have goals that sometimes challenge us, sometimes scare us. Right. And the transformation that would happen within, because we have those glitters in our eyes, and we have fire in our stomach, right? Uh, it is so satisfying. It is so fulfilling, right? So trust me, we have a purpose, right? And we got to touch base with that purpose today. So important. So change the story in your head, isn't it? Let it not be a fairy tale, of course, right? It is going to be reality. And in reality, so many things have to be tested, changed, challenged, worked upon. Be ready for the hard work that follows. Another reason why we don't do much is, this attitude that abhi to bahut time hai. We have a lot of time. We have just started. Oh, I'm just in my 20s. Oh, I'm just in my 30s. But still, I have 20 years to go to get retired. Right? Let me tell you, 12 days of the new year are gone. Almost 2 weeks of 2023 are gone. Bat of an eyelid, isn't it? And how, I do not know how old most of us are, but I assume everybody's other side of 30, other side of 40, right? So look at your life. It was like a blip, woof, and we are here. And next 30 years are also going to be like this, unless we put them to good use, isn't it? So being passive, retroactive, waiting for things to happen, and worrying about future and not doing anything about it, waiting for the ideal circumstances to happen, that's a recipe for no change. That's a recipe for status quo. Things won't change because we want them to change. No, right? So important that we become proactive, right? So important that we learn and develop that do it now attitude, right? And procrastination again is a habit. It's not personality, it's a habit, right? And it takes a lot of effort to break through this habit. I'll give you a very simple and an easy tip to work upon this habit of delaying things. You know why we delay things is because either we don't know how to do them or we don't like to do it. There can't be a third reason for it. Think about it. We never delay things that we are fond of. We neither do we delay things that are well within our caliber or capacity. Let's suppose you want to write a research paper and you have been thinking about it, brooding about it, but you have not just started it. It could be that, research does not come naturally to you. You don't really have the aptitude for research. Or it could be that you have never done it before, so you do not know how to do it, right? So the best way to handle it is to say, okay, I will do it. I know I have to do it, right? So what do we do about postponement and procrastination is exactly what you do with the pizza. When you order a pizza and it is delivered at home, how do we eat a pizza? Manju ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Ma'am, we just open it the box and taste it.
Taste it. Ma'am, do we eat the whole pizza in one go?
No.
No. What do we do?
We eat with the by taking breaks. First we eat one piece, then we move here and there, then
Exactly.
we take another piece.
Absolutely. That's the recipe. We eat pizza slice by slice. Similarly, we got to do something which we find difficult or unpleasant slice by slice. Break every difficult thing into smallest bite-sized, manageable uh, uh, entity and handle one thing at a time. My dear friends, the recipe to make anything big in life is one step at a time, one bite at a time, one thought at a time, one action at a time. Our brain is not cut out for multitasking. We freak out. We actually, feel very overwhelmed when too much is to be done in a day, isn't it? So please sort things out. Because again, there's a beautiful pyramid that you need to understand that time, thoughts, emotions, words. If you manage these four things, first I was talking to you about thoughts, emotions, behavior, and words, right? Now I'm adding one more thing. If you know how to manage your time, if you know how to manage your thoughts, if you know how to manage your words, if you know how to manage your emotions, and if you know how to manage your relations, you're sorted. अभी लग रहा होगा, oh, there is so much to be managed. Let me tell you, nothing is to be managed but you. You can't manage time. You can manage your own self. Prioritizing list, breaking down things into smallest doable actions. You can't manage relationships. You can manage your own patience, and you can manage your own capacity to deal with difficult people, isn't it? So the best way to deal with procrastination is pick up a project, and along with that project pick up a pen and a notebook, Break down that project into smallest doable steps. Like if you have to make tea, the first step is to have a pan and have water in that pan and switch on the gas burner and put that pan on the gas burner. But let's suppose you don't have a cylinder at home. You are in trouble, isn't it? So these are the things which kind of mess us up, that we want to do things, but we don't realize that sometimes we don't have the tools to do that. I will give you an example, because if we know how to manage procrastination, we become extremely productive. So there was this lady who said that I have cartons and cartons of books lying in my room, in my living room, and I want to settle them in a bookshelf. I said, open a carton and put it in the, start putting it in the bookshelf. She says, I don't have a bookshelf. I said, please open. I said, where do you buy your stuff from? She says, I do online shopping. I said, Kolo, open Amazon. Let's buy a bookshelf for yourself right now. I said, do you have 10, 15,000 rupees budget? She says, I have it. I said, do you have that money in your account? She said, I have it. I said, order it now. She says, I don't know the this dimensions of the place where I want to put my bookshelf on. Right? So we were there, we were at her house. I said, get a tape, let's measure it right away. She said, Shilpa, I don't have a tape. I said, this is 50 rupees. Go across the market, buy a tape for yourself, a measuring tape for yourself, and come back within 10 minutes. And that's so happened. And trust me, I'm not kidding you all. We measured, we opened Amazon, we ordered. Within 2-3 days, that whatever we ordered, it came. And one by one, slice by slice, cartons were opened and books were put into the shelf. And those eyesores were out of her sight within 3 or 4 days of her bringing in that measuring tape. Right? So whichever project is kind of, have you put it on hold, take it as a homework today, that whenever you have half an hour, just sit down, break it down to a slice that you can actually put it in your mouth and chew it. And how do you know whether the slice is broken down into that, at that level? You just have to see your comfort level. So when I say that if you have to make tea, fill a pan with water and put it on the gas stove, right? How comfortable you feel doing that. If you think it is not possible, that simply means that step is yet to be broken down into a smaller step, right? That's the simple thumb rule. That's the simple key to overcome procrastination. Start practicing it. Tasks only look big. When you break them down into smaller steps, you will be amazed. Oh, it was not that difficult. It was not that colossal as I had made it within this 6 inches space within my ears. Right? So again, another homework for all of you. Pick up one project. Okay, let's do a little conversation here on the chat box. Think about that one project, friends, that you have been delaying for very long. You've just been put on a back burner. Think about it. It could be something domestic, it could be personal, it could be as simple as, cleaning your own closet or cleaning a drawer. Think about it. And please start putting your answers in the chat box. Satakshi ma'am says, some bank work. So Satakshi ma'am, now you know. Whatever that work is, whether you need a form for it, or you need your passbook for that, or you need for your, I do not know, checkbook for that, I do not know what is it about. Break it down to the simplest step. Open your wardrobe, get that paper out, pick up a pen, fill it up, or if it is not with you, you have to download it. Please open that site, go to that site, download that form. If it is non-downloadable, please walk down or drive down to your bank. That's the first step for you, ma'am. Yes, more answers, please. Anything that you have been postponing for very long. research work. I know that's a pain point with most of the academicians and educationists, right? Nahita ma'am, your basic thing is first to identify which area you want to work in, second, what variation you want to pick up, right? Or once you've identified the areas, go to Google and type that few research papers, download those papers. That's your first step for that. Question papers. Right. So Sonam ma'am, for I do not know, maybe you have to create question papers. Open the books, the documents from where you want those, from where you probably want to pick up those questions from. Is it online, offline? So your first step is to recognize my source. Where is it that I'm going to create questions from? Get hold of that source, pick up a pen and paper, or maybe your mouse. Maybe you just have to cut, copy, paste certain things, or you have to create answers out of that. Gokul sir is saying learning new skills. Gokul sir, which new skill do you want to learn? The more specific you are in what do you want to learn, easier it gets to, because now your next step, Gokul sir, is to figure out what new skill am I wanting to learn. Identifying that is your next step. Isn't it? So this is how important becoming specific in our lives is. When you say I want to lose weight, really, how much weight? By when do you want to lose that weight? Cooking, preparing healthy meals after the end of the tiring day, that too only for oneself. My God, you need a lot of I would say commitment for that, Tinam ma'am. However, what you can do is don't wait for the day to end. Do some basic work in the morning itself. Let's suppose you want to make some khichdi for yourself, or you want to have a lot of vegetables in whatever you want to eat, right? So chop the vegetables in the morning and keep them ready, or even you can cook those vegetables, and at night you can add some poha or dalia or something like that to that. So if you have done something before, or if, to be honest, your first step to be to check whether you have that healthy food that you want to cook. Is it there in your refrigerator or your larder? You have that food at home or not? If not, bring it home is the first step for you. Learning how to teach online during COVID. Yeah, that is something was difficult. I have mastered that. Arranging drawers in my office, which is full of important papers. Manju ma'am, one drawer at the time. Kuch nahi karna. Wherever you're sitting, open drawer number one. Take out paper number one, paper number two, paper number three. Sort it out. Once everything is sorted, please throw the trash in the trash bin. This longing in us, oh, I will need it someday, I will use it someday, is something which is killing us. Take what do you call it? Take a picture of some papers that you think you may need it, or scan those paper and put it in your PC, rather than keeping that pile, adding on that pile in your table. It is that simple. Manju ma'am, open the drawer is the step one. Take out everything is step two. Read, see what is desirable, keep piling up. What is not desirable, keep putting it in the trash. From the desirable, see what you need accessible in the physical form. Put it back in the drawer. We have scanners in our phone these days, isn't it? Scan it, save it. Scan it, save it. Right? Do one drawer a day. Don't overwhelm yourself with it. Okay? So it is this simple, friends. And I'm going to share my number with all of you. And I really want each one of you to report it back to me by the end of the day today. What was that one thing, and what is the first step you have taken towards it today? It is a homework for all of you. I am your accountability partner, right? And before the end of the day today, identify that one thing, please, and tell me. You can break it up and tell me what is the first step you have taken. And Manju ma'am, doing one drawer a day is not difficult. By end of the day, I expect this message from you, ma'am, one drawer cleaned. It is doable. Okay? Chaliye, wonderful. Thank you so much for participating. It feels very nice when everybody responds, and feel a part of this whole thing. And one of the other ingredients that do not help us move forward is focus on failure. Um, Many students, they come to me, they want to prepare for their interviews and all that, or their exams. And one fear, which is universal, is, ma'am, what if I'm not able to clear it? Right? And I always have this counter question, what if you clear it? Why must we expect that the thing will not go in my favor? Why can't we have this learned optimism? I have to introduce all of you to something important here. It's important for us to understand something about our brain, that, naturally, evolutionarily, we are made to think negative, right? Negative thoughts come naturally to us. Uh, we are Teflon to positivity, and our brain is like a Velcro to negativity. For those of you who do not know what is Teflon, all our pans and cookware, they have a coating so that not much of oil stick to it. That coating is called as Teflon coating. So our brain is a Teflon to positivity. Anything positive happen, it just slips out. Something negative happen, it stays with us for the lifetime. People would give you compliments, people would regard you, they will respect you, right? That doesn't stick with us. One criticism, one someone being discourteous, impolite, right, rude, it really spoils our day. That's how our brain is made. Now the question is, why brain is like that? Because in our evolutionary history, when we were hunter gatherers, we the threats were real, isn't it? We were living in caves, we were in forests, we did not have enough to protect ourselves. So our brain was always searching for threats and looking for threats and preparing ourselves for those threats. Dangerous animals, natural calamities, this and that. So, those times dangers were real, threats were real. Unfortunately, we are still carrying the same Paleolithic brain in this modern 21st century technological world. We still remain the same in the sense that we keep on looking for threats and difficult situations and problems, right? And either we are overthinking about them, or we are apprehending them, or we are so fearful about them. Isn't it? So we are, by virtue of we being humans, our tendency, our default is negative. So our default is always, remember failure. Right? But let's understand that today, that one failure does not define how we approach our future or how we will be performing in our future endeavors. And failure, what is a failure? The simplest definition of failure is when the result is not as expected, it is failure. When the result is as expected, it is success. Isn't it? So let's stop overburdening ourselves with goals. Once the goal is set, if you really want to accomplish that goal, move from goal orientation to process orientation. Like Manju ma'am said, she has a goal, she has to clean a drawer. That's the goal. Sorted. The next step is how. Isn't it? So, failure is just a reminder that your process was not right. Failure is just a reminder that you need to revisit and reappraise the way you approach that problem, right? The moment you bring about the desirable changes in the process, I promise you, you will get the desired result. The reality is that we obsess ourselves, one with the goal and then with the thought, what if it does not work in my favor? And that thought is so paralyzing that it does not even allow us to get involved, to get our hands dirty and sit down to do the job. because the thought has consumed us. What if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? Right? So, one, the thought per se is a prayer that is going out in the universe, and the universe comes back and says, Tathastu, so be it. You don't want it to work out? Good, I'm okay. Whichever ways, any which ways, I'm okay. Right? So you start with this thought process that it is doable, it is workable, and then you have this end in your mind that okay, this is where I wish to reach, this is where I am, and once this is where I am and this is where I want to reach is sorted, all we do is the process. And the best example to understand this is our GPS system that we use every day to move from location A to location B. Once the location A and location B has been fed in our mobiles, we don't keep looking at the location and we don't keep fearing what if the GPS does not take me here. All we do is believe that unknown voice when she says, take left from the next intersection or take the first exit from the first intersection. Go straight 400 meters, take right or take, uh, go to the third intersection, go out from the third We believe her. We are believing the process. This is exactly what we need to do in our lives too. If you can, how stupid we are. We believe that unknown lady who is telling us take left and take right. And we don't believe our own selves when it comes to doing a certain thing in a certain manner. Right? So please start asking yourself great constructive questions. Instead of asking what if it does not work, ask yourself what if it works. Get excited. I always tell them, what if you get this job? What if you're through with this interview? Do you have the wardrobe? Do you have those good clothes to wear for your job? They get excited about all those things, right? So let's change our default from fearful, doubting kind of cells to excited people who are looking forward to the desired goals rather than fearing what if it does not go in my favor, right? So instead of saying yourself, what if I fail? Please ask yourself this question, what if I succeed? When you say yourself, what if I succeed? Someone out there is listening. The prayer will be answered, right? So ask the right questions to get the right answers and take away your focus from the failure or the goal to the process. Fold your sleeves, fold your pants, and get ready to get dirty today. That's very, very important. That's the key for that. And the last thing that I want to share with you is something that does not let us come out of our cocoons and something that does not allow us to be our, better evolved selves. That is overthinking. Keep going circles in that loop, right? And the solution to this is please actionify your goals. Please get into the action mode. It is easier to act yourself into good thinking than to think yourself into good action. Isn't it? The best example is, I do not know, I think Dr. Garima seems to be in North India, so does Manju ma'am. How cold it is now, this side of the country. So the best example is, we keep thinking at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, I have to get up. The alarm has already rung. I need to leave my bed, right? That is thinking yourself into action. And the other thing is you kick off your covering, that is, you take an action and you stand up and you start your day. Isn't it? So rather than thinking yourself into good action, let's just act ourselves. Let's take that plunge. That when you're having a cold water bath on a winter morning, only the first encounter with water is terrifying. After that, the body adapts and it gets used to that. right? So just get ready for that one moment. That is the moment that we need to fight. When thinking paralyzes you, just act yourself out. Don't give too much time for yourself. I'll give you a very nice example. Two people went up the moon. One was Neil Armstrong, and the other guy, do you remember? What was his name? It doesn't matter, because Neil Armstrong was the first person to set his foot on the moon, and that is the person we remember. Now, let me share with you an interesting story. It was the other pilot, Edwin Hillary, I think, you know, but Neil Armstrong has his footstep on the moon. So it was Edwin Hillary who was actually to step keep his first step. He was like what is called as a pilot and a co-pilot. Neil Armstrong was a co-pilot, and when they landed at the moon, and when Edwin Hillary was to keep his first foot on the moon, he got little scared. He developed cold feet, literally, that what if I sink in, or what if, there is something untoward happen. And that was the moment when Neil Armstrong said, you keep thinking and I'm going to action fire your goal. And he jumped out and he put the first step on the moon, and rest is history. That is called action find your thinking rather than thinking yourself into action. That is the importance, right? So these were the things that I I shared with you, and this is how mental toughness is built up. And as I said, your external facade is just a radiation and a manifestation who you really are from within, right? If your immunity is strong from within, it would reflect, right? No matter how many skin creams and this and that you apply, if your body, if you're not nourishing your body with good food and a healthy diet, right, those creams, those things are not going to work for you. Okay, so external packaging has a shelf life, whereas a lifelong sustainable change happens when we bring something or we change something from within. Just a quick reminder, you got to work upon your current environment and choose people who energize you, who motivate you, who are like cheerleaders for you, and with whom you share certain goals, and create a lovely tribe or a community who vibrate exactly on the same frequency as you do. You have shared vision with them. Let's stop blaming things outside us. Let's take the onus and the responsibility of our lives, and let's drive our life in the direction that we want it to go into. uh, let's overcome procrastination. Stop eating your life or living your life like eating a burger. You know what burger looks like. You order a jumbo burger, you dig into the burger, and everything is on the plate. The tikki is flying somewhere, and this all the leaves and cabbage, everything is all over the place. This is what is happening in our lives. So stop putting things one over the other. That's not the way to live life. You live life exactly like you order or eat pizza. There is a crust, and there is some topping, and there is cheese, and there is different flavors, and then you garnish it with something that you like, and then you take one bite and you enjoy and you savor that bite. Life is to be lived and enjoyed and celebrated. Again, thoda, it will be a little difficult for people who don't understand English, Hindi, sorry. So you ask people, how are you doing? Kaise ho? Bas kat rahi hai, काटने नहीं आए हैं. Life is to be lived and enjoyed and celebrated. It's a beautiful, beautiful opportunity. Such a huge, humongous universe. In that humongous universe, there is a Milky Way, a galaxy. And in that galaxy, there's a solar system. In that solar system are 9 planets, which I do not know how, revolving around a hot body of fire, sun. And we live on the earth. And earth is in the Goldilocks zone, neither so cold nor so hot. Can it be a coincidence? It is such a beautiful opportunity. We have taken it for granted. Don't do that, please. right? Make the best out of it for yourself, for people around you, for society, for community, for your family, right? And make your own self proud. You are not here to kind of impress anyone. You're not here to seek validations from others. End of the day, like I told you, na, start your day by asking yourself or telling yourself and get excited about the day. It's going to be a brilliant day. It's going to be an exciting day. It's going to be a fulfilling day. My day is full of opportunities. And when you close your day, ask yourself, how was the day? What were the things that you did well? What were the things that you can do even better? Become your own auditor. And each day bring in chota, small changes, not big, because small is doable. Little joys of life. We never say big joys. We always say little joys of life. A cup of tea in a winter morning is something so desirable, isn't it? So stop looking for things outside. The change will come from within. We don't have time, or let's say, okay, we have time. Let's make the best of this time. And please change the narrative in your head. How do you talk to your own selves? How do you communicate with your own self? And how do you communicate with people all around you? Language is a bridge. And please remember, your words are your world, and your personality is your personal reality. And your words are the bridge between your personality and your personal reality. Be very mindful of your time, your thoughts, your emotions, your words, and your relationships. And life is beautiful. It's a simple 5 ingredients to work upon, and it boils down to working upon your own selves. Right? So that is all for today. I hope you found it useful. I really enjoyed communicating with all of you. Thank you so much, Manju ma'am and Dr. Garima, for keeping the camera on throughout, and Ankush Gupta ji for having me interact with people there. It makes a lot of difference when you talk to people rather than talking to a screen. So thank you for getting the best out of me. Um, Over to you, Meenakshi ma'am. And before that, if anybody has anything to share and say, like, what is your take home? What are you going to do differently today onwards? क्या सीखा? Anyone?
Thank you so much, ma'am, for a wonderful session. Uh, Sikha, I think the wonderful thought of Tathastu is something which we all need to really, start putting in, because at times when we feel a little demotivated or a lot cluttered, we start, actually instead of finding a path for ourselves, we are just lost somewhere. So I think one thing at a time, and actually moving ahead with one step at least, I think that is something which is really, really important. And procrastination, I think, again comes up with discomfort. And, if we slowly and steadily start putting one step ahead with that thought, I think probably, as sorted as we are, we'll be able to help our students also in the same manner.
Yes, very true. So the more sorted you are, the more sorted you can help others to become. Thank you, Dr. Garima, for sharing your take homes with us. Anyone else?
Ma'am, can I?
Please, Manju. Sure.
Ma'am, what I learned from your session is doing action is more necessary than thinking we are doing in future, we are doing like that. And if we do in that manner, maybe we perform well. What is more important is doing that work. And what is more important, doing that you are always try to do things in a better way if you think positive in that way. Matlab, if you're positive ki you are doing whatever you're doing is you are completing that task, not you think that maybe I'm not mm, completing that task. You always think positive. If I start that task, I am able to complete that task.
Indeed. So let's
Yeah.
stop thinking and start doing is the mantra, isn't it?
Um,
Thank you.